Hello again, and welcome to the second week in our course on developing your own online course for UVI. This week we'll examine various formats for your content. We're academics. We like text. It's the medium we grew up with, the medium we excelled at, and the medium through which we conduct our scholarly work. In order for our students to be perceived as well educated, we believe that they also need to master the textual medium. We're generally not very good at communicating through visuals. However, the web is a visual and auditory world. That's the world in which at least our younger students live. You certainly don't need to overload your course with multimedia, but there are a few good reasons for doing so. A picture says more than 1,000 words, well, at least sometimes. Audio and video can help your students who prefer those modalities of learning. They can help make or reinforce your point, and they personalize the somewhat impersonal online classroom. I prefer to use these modalities for short segments, such as to introduce or summarize the topic. A very common format is this one, a narrated presentation. While the bullet points are built in, you certainly don't need to use them. A few of the media formats in this course are this one, links to external websites, such as YouTube and articles, few audio files, and some very homemade videos created right here in my home office. I call them kitchen table videos. They're certainly not professional. Which formats you choose depend on what's comfortable for you to use, what's available, what works for your specific course, and how much time you have to prepare the course. We never have as much time as we would like. In the content folder for this week, you'll see further recommendations, especially one from Honolulu Community College. One simple suggestion is to start with what you have available right now in your office or on your home computer. This presentation has been created in the Macintosh app called Keynote because I have a Mac laptop at home. In this week's folder, you'll see a great number of links to good sources of images, videos, audio files, and animations. Common to all of these is that they are, in general, royalty-free. The page where you'll find them will specify what rights, if any, the owner of the file has reserved. We'll examine some of these on the next slide. Repositories are large data sets where instructors like you have uploaded files of many types for other instructors to use. Both the repositories I have recommended allow you to use the files for education without paying royalties to the owner. The lectures and lecture components are part of another great source called Open Educational Resources. More on that in a minute. The concept of open educational resources and open courseware began to take off about 10 years ago with the formation of the Open Courseware Consortium and the MIT Open Courseware Project. For MIT, the revolutionary plan was to have at least 3 components of all their courses available for everyone around the world for free anytime. They have succeeded. On the right, you'll see the logos of 3 of the best-known MOOC providers, Coursera, edX, and Udacity. There are links to articles describing MOOCs and the MOOC phenomenon in this week's folder. But just as you don't want your intellectual property to be nabbed by someone and used without your consent, so does everyone else. As educational institutions, we have certain protections and permissions in utilizing intellectual property for educational purposes, but it's not a free-for-all. In the folder for this week, you'll see a link to a short video describing the 4 factors in determining the fair use of intellectual property, as well as links to the various licenses under Creative Commons. All these will help you in finding usable content and determining what can be used and how. It's a bit unlikely that you'll be venturing into virtual worlds such as Second Life the first time you develop and teach an online course, but I did want to mention this kind of format. A Second Life was unleashed on the world by the company Linden Labs in 2003. Since then, a great number of universities have established a presence there. Stanford has some property there, and so does Penn State, just to mention two. Follow the link in the folder to learn more about virtual worlds such as Second Life. Finally, let's say a few words about synchronous and asynchronous formats. The UVI courses will primarily be asynchronous, and your students can be anywhere and do their work at any time. However, you may choose to include synchronous sessions in your course, which of course are in real time and live, for example through Blackboard Collaborate. We'll discuss this best uses in the discussion sessions this week. In your folder, there's also a link to a white paper by the United States Distance Learning Association, USDLA, on selecting instructional media. We'll use this document heavily in our discussion and activities, so you may want to print it. At this point, please close this window and follow the links to the wealth of resources I have curated for you. Thanks for listening.